I'm just going to share a couple of thoughts before we invite Dawn and Steve up, and we have a little presentation. And there's another video to come, and you're going to love the next video. It's Dawn. I've been spending so many hours putting these videos together, but I love it. It's so good. And as I said at the end of that video, we could have done that video 5-6 times over. There are so many people that come to mind who have been touched by Steve and Dawn in so many different ways within ministry, but also as friends. And so we really could have just done that over and over again. We could have been here 3 hours just listening to a whole bunch of people. But we're gonna listen to another one. We're gonna see another one in a moment or two. But I just wanted to share just something for a few minutes. And the theme that's come through, or most of those videos, apart from the fact that everyone's so glad that Dawn's got away from me, okay, which was a bit of a worrying kind of theme for it. But apart from that, I think the theme that's come through all of this and has been borne out, particularly in Dawn's ministry within the church, has just been a passion for Jesus and a passion to fulfill the calling that has been upon her life. Now, I don't know about you, but I am amazed sometimes at some of the incredible passions and hobbies that people have in life. I don't know about you, it goes over my head. Some of the things that people get excited about, some of the things that people invest their whole life into is just absolutely crazy. If you put the next slide up for me, I don't know if you can recognize this. This is something called extreme ironing. Anybody heard of extreme ironing before? Yeah? Have you done it? Have you done it? No. Extreme ironing. And people will go to all different kind of dangerous places. They'll go to mountaintops, under the sea, all these places, and they will iron. There are world championships for extreme ironing. And you watch it and you go, how weird is that? Why would you want to give so much of your time and your effort to something like that? What about the next one? This is called worm charming. Anyone ever heard of this? There is a world worm charming championship every year. Apparently what they do is you get a little patch of land, you get this thing, and you vibrate the ground to get the worms to come up out of the soil. That's what worm charming is. And there are world championships, and there is a world record for worm charming. Anyone ever heard of that? That is so weird. And finally, yes, absolutely, there was a world championship in 2012 for watching paint dry. You check it out. Go to Wikipedia. It was a bit of an advertising stunt, but there was a trade exhibition, and they had a world championships. You had to send in a photograph of you watching a wall dry. You had to tell them how long you could watch it before you had to give up, and then you had to give them what your favorite color was. And somebody actually is the world champion at watching paint dry. Isn't it crazy? It's funny, but it says two things to me. The two things it says is this. Firstly, the next one for me. Everyone is passionate about something. Everybody is passionate about something. We don't understand where people's passions come from, but everybody is passionate about something. And secondly, it tells us this. When we find our passion, we will go to extraordinary lengths to fulfill that passion. Don't we? The cost is irrelevant. If you absolutely love something and you give your life to something, it doesn't matter how much it costs you to be involved and to do it. You will go to any lengths. And for those of you that are a little bit older in the house, you will remember the advert of the guy that jumps out of the plane at the middle of the night, and he parachutes through the night, lands on a mountain, slides down a mountain, swims across a shark-infested river, climbs up into a castle, into a bedroom, and there's a lady asleep in the bedroom, and he walks in, and there's a box of, and he puts a little card on it, and it says what? All because the lady loves milk tray. I told this story when I was at Harlow a few weeks ago, actually. But when I was younger, when I was dating Usha, Usha used to live in West Drayton. We used to go to a youth group in Hounslow, and there was a van that used to take Usha home and all the West Drayton crowd home. And I was a bit sweet on Usha. I fancied Usha. And my mate, he fancied Usha's sister, 𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓. And so on a Friday evening after youth, we decided that what we would do, we wanted to get a final glimpse of them before they went in. So this is 10:30. The church van would take the kids home, and they would get to the motorway of the M4. It was one stop on the motorway, junction 3 to junction 4 on the M4. And they would take them home, and we would follow them home. But here's the deal. Me and my mate were only on mopeds. And those of you know, mopeds cannot go on a motorway. So we would get to junction 3, we would watch them go onto the motorway, and then, I had an AP50, a Suzuki. It was 30 miles an hour, top speed downhill with a following wind, and I'm on this thing we're getting the maximum, going down the A4 by the airport there, and with the hope that we might just reconnect with the van when it came off the motorway at the other end. And then we would follow the... I did stalk Usha. Yeah, I know. It sounds awful nowadays, but in those days it wasn't too bad. Whew, I get arrested now. But listen, we would follow her. She'd get out of the van. Her and her sister would go in. They would close the door, go into the house. And then me and my mate Gary, we'd get back on our mopeds and go all the way home again. And that was it. Ridiculous, stupid lengths. Because we were passionate and because we wanted to be with somebody. I want to ask you a question this morning. What passion is worth your life? You see, some passions are just hobbies and they're just pastimes and they're not really that important. But we all have a key passion. We all have a central passion that drives us in our life. And I want to ask you, what is yours? And I just want to be a few moments. I'm going to be short, and I know that's a miracle, but I'm going to be short this morning. But in Matthew chapter 13, Jesus tells a story. And it's just 2 verses. And it's very short, but it is absolutely jam-packed with purpose and meaning and this whole idea of giving your life for something. And in Matthew chapter 13, verse 45 to 46, it says this. And again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant who went looking for fine pearls. And when he found the one of greatest value, he went away and he sold everything that he had to buy it. This is a story of a man who thinks that something is so valuable that he will joyfully trade in everything that he has just to have it. Now, I want to add my tribute to Dawn and to Steve, because really that has typified Dawn's life, her commitment to God, her commitment to her family, her commitment to the church, and her commitment to kids ministry. Dawn and Steve have been in the church for over 30 years. They were here before we came here. There's only 2 or 3 families that are in the church that were here before we came here. They have been family friends. We've been away together. We've had many barbecues at their house, played many games, board games. If you want to play board games, Steve is your guy for that. We've played football together. We were the old geezers at the back, weren't we? I know Len's already referred to that. But as you get older, you get further back. You know, I started off forward. I was in midfield. You know that, don't you, John? And then as you get older, you end up, you know, as they say, right back and then left back in the changing room. Yeah, we know all about that. But we played a bit of football together. We've got frozen together over a Wanstead Flats. But that's what life is all about. Dawn has faithfully served on the staff since before we were here for 27 years. And then she served as the kids pastor for 20 years. And, you know, we've already heard it, I had to nag Dawn for about 3 years because she was not convinced that was a call for her life. And I had to nag her. I said, no, there is a kids pastor in you, and we need to get that out. We need to release that so that you can fulfill the calling of God. And then there was the whole ministerial recognition. Dawn is a reverend, by the way, Reverend Dawn. And, well, she's been that for a long while, so you don't need to clap her anyway, because... And it took years to get Dawn to agree to doing that. She has faithfully, consistently, and passionately served the kids in this church over many, many years. And you've seen some of the friends that we have had and some of the people that we've worked with over the years, Stu and Ruth and Dave and Sean and others that have been part of our team over the years. And Dawn has been there right from the beginning and right the way through to the end. So I want to say personally on behalf of Usher and myself, we want to thank you for your personal friendship and your support and your love and your kindness for you. And Dan's representing the kids here as well this morning. And we just want to say we love you. And yeah, we're very sad to see you go, but we know that you are going to walk into all that God has for you, in the future. So what was Dawn's passion for life? It was to see kids and young people to be set free from the tyranny and conformity of this world and to know the peace, the joy, and the sense of purpose and fulfillment that a relationship with Jesus brings. And it's been more than a job for Dawn. We've already heard that. She has poured her life into it with a passion. Week after week, year after year, crafts, games, clubs, assemblies, Bible stories, late night prep, praying for the children's by name, supporting the families through their difficult times, being present in crisis, cheering at their baptisms, celebrating every small step of faith. Her passion has not come from a duty, not from a description, not from wanting recognition. She has never asked for that. Her passion has come because she loves Jesus and she wants Jesus to be loved by all of those that she impacts in her life. And because of that, hundreds, dare we say thousands of kids have heard about Jesus in a safe, in a loving, and in a creative environment. And so we say thank you, Dawn. Your life is a much louder sermon than any of us could ever preach from the front. Any of us could ever preach from the front. And Paul says these words in Philippians 2:22 to his son, Timothy. He says, "But you know, Timothy has proved himself. Like a son with his father, he has helped me preach the good news." And Dawn, you have proved yourself to be trustworthy. You have proved yourself to be faithful in every way. So I want to just finish with the three parts of this story that I read to you earlier on. Okay, and there's three parts to this story. The first part is the search. It says a merchant went looking for fine pearls. Do you know the reality is we're all looking for something, can't we? I feel sorry for you too, because they still haven't found what they're looking for. But we are all looking. Come on, that was a cultural reference there. God, there's all the ones that are under 25 are going, I don't even get that one. All the older ones are going, it took me too long to get that one. But we are, aren't we? If you think of popular culture, you think of all the songs in the charts, you think of all the films that you watch, most of them are about people longing for something beyond themselves. They're longing for happiness or they're longing for fulfillment. We are looking for meaning. We are looking for purpose. We are looking for identity. We are looking for security. For some, it would be in their career. For some, it will be in getting success. For some, it will be in getting wealth or whatever it might be. But we all know that those things never, ever fully satisfy. And as search as we may, nothing ever quite fills that gap. And I guess we've all been at funerals, haven't we? And we've asked that question in those very intimate and sad moments. Those crucial moments in life, we've stood there as we've watched a coffin go into the grave and we went, I wonder if there's more to life than this. I wonder if there is more to life than this. And Dawn found that more to life than this. And she found it in Jesus. So the first thing is we're all searching for something. And I don't know where there's a lot of people come in that I don't know this morning. I don't know where you're at in your life's journey. I don't know what you're searching for. I don't know what that big prize of your life that you are looking for. But Dawn's life is exemplary. And what we want to say to you, and as Jesus says from this passage, that actually there's only one true prize, and it is to know Jesus and to know the peace and the joy that he brings. The second part is this. It says, when he found the one pearl of great value. So I've called this the discovery. When you find something, you really know it, don't you? You know, when you found that thing, you really know when you found it. You found the one. I know that, when I met Usha in the youth group all those many years ago, and she rolled her eyes at me, and I picked them up and I rolled them back. Come on. That's about the 100th time I've ever done that one. But there's that moment where you just know and your eyes lock, and there was just that moment where we just knew that we'd be together. We're 42 years in February coming up. There's that discovery. You just know when something falls into place in your life. The merchant wasn't reckless, but he realizes that with this one pearl, it was worth intimately more than anything and everything else that he could ever own. This is what happens when somebody truly discovers the truth about Jesus. It's not about religion. It's not about rules. It's not just about coming to church and trying to be a better person. It is about knowing Jesus and the peace and the joy and the grace and the hope and the strength that brings into our lives when we have an encounter with Jesus. And that's what happened to Dawn. She found the pearl of greatest price in Jesus. She found the pearl of second greatest price in Steve. But I know that, obviously they're a close family, a close relationship, but I know right at the very heart of that is this pearl of Jesus. So the third thing is this, the exchange, the trade up, the cost. It then says he sold everything that he had and he bought it. He sold everything that he had and he bought it. So my question as I started off with, what passion is worth everything that you've got? Is there something that you are pursuing that is worth absolutely, that you would lay everything else down for? In Philippians chapter 2, which is the passage I wrote a moment ago, but it goes on in verse 29, and Paul is talking about a man called 𝗡𝗢𝗧𝗘, and he says this, welcome him in the Lord with great joy and honor men like him, because he nearly died for the work of Christ, risking his life to make up that deficit for you. That phrase, risking your life, is a Greek phrase which I ain't even going to try to pronounce. It's a Greek phrase, and it basically means to go all in. Now, I don't know if anyone wants to put their hand up and admit to having played a few games of poker in their life, but this term that's used in the Bible actually was a common gambling term in the days of Paul. And what it actually means is you can imagine a poker table, and they're all around there, and this guy gets the hand, and he just goes, do you know what? Nothing's going to beat this. And it all goes round, and there's tents, and everyone puts in a bid and a bat and all of that. And it comes finally round to him. And he takes a look, and he goes, there's something that takes place in his heart. And he goes, right, that's it. I am all in. And he pushes everything that's in front of him into the pot, into the middle of the table. That's what that phrase is in Philippians chapter 2. That 𝗡𝗢𝗧𝗘, for the sake of the gospel, went all in. He gave it all up to serve the purposes of God in his life. So what about you? What is your greatest pearl? What is your prize that you are looking for in life? What is the passion that drives you in your life? Is it fame? Is it wealth? Is it just a comfortable lifestyle? Is it success? Is it getting the bigger job and the better house and all of those things? Or is there something more? What are you looking for? And what are you living for? You see, we only live our life once, don't we? We only get to live our life once. The Bible says we live an eternal life, but we only get to live it once. We don't get to go over stuff again. Are you using your life? Are you living your life? Are you giving your life for something that is going to last forever? And we had on a couple of those tributes that came through, and they were saying things like, always make sure that you're sowing into something that is eternal and goes beyond everything else. In John 10:10, Jesus says these words, and some of you will be familiar with this. He says, I have come that you might have life, and have life to the full. And so if Dawn's life says anything to us this morning, and Steve, of course, but Dawn's particularly with her ministry side of things, if their lives speak anything to us today, it is this: that Jesus promises abundant life. But if we want to embrace it fully, then we have to let go of everything else and allow him to come in and to be that greatest pearl, that greatest prize in our life. Because only there do we find full satisfaction, fulfillment, joy, peace, love in God. We only find it in. Let me just pray for you, and then we're going to invite Steve and Dawn up the front. Father, we want to thank you.